Dear viewers, I offer my sincerest apologies. This episode is not one I have pride in producing. I have in my life heard voices of evil, yet tonight's experience has brought it back from forgotten memories. Tales by man are meant to combat the fragility of mortality, but I question if some deserve this opportunity. Their evil must be weighed against the plight of those suffering by their hands. Nothing others achieve are out of reach of their fellow man, no matter how much we wish it was. I cannot taunt you with my sardonic warnings against checking your fellow commuter or turning off your room lights tonight. Some tales display reality too well for disturbances. If you or any acquaintance suffers from domestic abuse, call 800-799-7233 if you are a United States resident. 0808 2000 247 in the United Kingdom, or 0800 428 428 if you are within the borders of South Africa. Viewer discretion is advised. Good evening, caller. Please state your full name and relation to the horror.
Yes. Hi. Hello. Good evening. I am Eileen Sale, and I survived 5 problematic relationships with men. 6, if you count my father.
You must have experienced frank amounts of horror in such cases. Do you consent to this experience?
I do. Yes, I do.
Whenever you are ready, Miss Sale.
He was my first real love obsession. The first guy on my phone wallpaper, first one with a heart next to his name on my phone. I had boyfriends before him, high school boyfriends. Person here and there, you kiss, say I love you. Never really mean it. But when I said it to him, it was real. College was behind me. I had time at night now. I was a double major in biosciences and sculpting. Didn't exactly allow a lot of husband finding time. Maybe that's why when I finally found him, I was willing to do anything to make sure we would work.
Miss Sale, if you don't object to me asking, was there truly no one in your college years?
No one alive. I know it is weird, my humor. I mean, I was working with a cadaver for medical school. I like to joke that he was the perfect boyfriend in retrospect. He couldn't cheat, never said anything mean, never did anything abusive. I wish the men I dated afterwards could have had those traits. Just alive, of course. Sebastian, my cadaver, for very obvious reasons, wasn't a great conversationalist.
Who would have guessed?
I met Matthias in a bookstore. He was the cashier with a short, stubble beard and sleeves rolled up veiny forearms. I knew he had a crush on me from the first time we met. He told me the book I bought was an interesting choice. Interesting like in a nice way, not the silent, judgy way.
If I may wager a guess, was it a book on art?
Joel Peter Witkin's Gods of Earth and Heaven.
I understand his curiosity.
A fan of Joel Peter Witkin, Crowley?
I would not count myself an admirer. No.
Anyway, I could see Matthias was shy, so the 5th time I went back to buy a book, I asked him out for coffee. For the first, maybe 5 or 6 months, it was amazing. I could really talk to him about Gunther von Hagens, Andres Serrano, Francesca Woodman. He never knew about them before me, but he would listen to every word I said. He would buy me flowers. I had to tell him when, but he was so cute when he came, dressed in the suit I told him to wear, with those exact flowers. He would knock on my door just like I asked him to, take my hand to the car just like I trained him to, and take me to the restaurant I begged him to. Everything seemed great until a month into our marriage. Matthias was in the U.S. illegally. He needed a green card. I had citizenship. I could give him a green card if we got married. So I made the suggestion. I thought that meant he would be grateful to me, understand how he needs me, but no! He began to drink a lot, said it was because he missed home, but I was hoping he'd understand I was his new home. One night he came home drunk. It was the first time he acted like my dad. Matthias screamed at me, "I only married you for the green card. You psycho whore!" He... I don't know if I can.
He hurt you.
Yes.
Using an artwork you sculpted.
He smashed my skull with a sculpture I made of us. How did you know, Crowley?
When you are a scholar of life's darker aspects, certain patterns become visible through time. Please continue.
He grabbed my car keys and disappeared for 2 weeks. I called. He didn't answer. He turned off his location on our family plan. He had to be cheating. That's the only thing that made any sense. So when he came back home and told me his sob story, I played dumb as if he wasn't being controlled by a slut in the city. But we both knew. We both felt it. Our time together was coming to an end. I made him rent me an art studio as an apology. Still, our hours in there wasn't enough to fix us. So I told him we had to talk. He came right down to the studio. Matthias admitted he still loved me, but agreed our relationship was nearing its expiration date. I allowed him to talk as the midazolam crawled down his throat, from the drink to his lips. Down, down, all the way down. His motor functions neared their end when his realization translated into an escape attempt. One foot swung past another with unbent knees. He found the light cascading from the doorway. He was still fighting it, his eyes in their bare brown berserker attempt to pull his body to the door. I cradled his head and neck in my left arm. Shh, mi amor. My other hand gripped a palette knife sharpened in the first 2 weeks he slept in the house of a slut. Trace the route first, belly button up to collarbone, around the chest, around the back. He was still awake. My scalpel palette married itself into his belly button, blood streaming after the palette with each stroke further up his body. The spring of blood dislodged the memories, playing with Dad and the bloody salmon native to the bear trap canyon waters native to my younger years. His heartbeat reached its thudding crescendo when the scalpel unveiled the hyoid bone tucked below the jaw. I stopped. His body flipped over, the flaying of the back, then the legs, upper, lower, feet, hands and arms carved free next. Only his face left. The true art of Matthias, the most worthy of preservation. Sebastian had evaded me with his face. Last time I saw him, his face had forgotten its chiseled shape beneath my scalpel. I could not do the same with Matthias. From the jaw, left to right, over his ears, under his brown curly hair, to the back of his head. Return and repeat until peeling the skin from his head came off like cookies from an oven tray.
You proceeded to match his skin to a sculpture you made of him, no? Immortalize him in a state of forever subservience. I recall your quote. The sculptures had their beauty, but not their souls. It needed a piece of them. Normally, the soul is hidden deep inside. But when I placed the skin over the marble, I saw their soul in human pelt.
You have heard of my work.
I have also been made aware of your arrest. Acquitted yourself before the completion of the court case.
They won't understand what I say in court. The media made me look like a monster.
You see yourself as a collector. Your collection merely happens to be humans.
No. I am a creator. I sculpt the perfect circumstances in an imperfect world. Is it wrong that I just want a love that won't hurt me? That's my story, the true story. not the fake news people hear every day. If the jury can just hear this, I will be set free. They will understand.
Very well. Please continue, Sculptor.
I did as you said. I fondled the skin onto his bicep, caressed his beard onto its new marble home, surrounded the eyes I sculpted with his eyebrows and eyelids. He was mine forever. The whore he spent those 2 weeks with was never going to see him again. No one was going to see him again. I still love Matthias. I still love him. But just like Sebastian, there were shortcomings. I had his soul in that statue, but I couldn't get him to buy me flowers or hear him whisper into my ear. Matthias was going to have to share me with someone else. Alejandro. He was visiting DC from Peru. I met him in a nightclub. He had a beard, biceps, and a sad smile to go with his dear brown eyes. He came home with me that night. I drove him to the airport the next. That day together meant more to me than any moment with Matthias. He was open from the start about him being a widower. He didn't think he could love again after his wife, but I showed him he could. In the National Art Gallery, he pointed to a painting of an old couple as he told me how, in another life, we would have spent our old days together in a retirement home, recounting how we met to our grandkids. We still talked after he left. Every day. 1 month later, Alejandro was back. 2 months later, I visited him in Peru. 3 months later, we were engaged in Hawaii. 4 months later, his skin was kneaded onto a statue. He was abusive. He didn't text me back immediately. He would hang up our calls when I admitted that Karame couldn't be his dead wife's sister. He wouldn't take my hand like Matthias did, or buy me flowers like Matthias did, or take me to the restaurants Matthias did. He was still in love with his dead ex. He never said it, but a woman's intuition is never wrong. Many nights I would sit in my studio, Matthias to my right and Alejandro to my left, so they could hear my breathing. It felt right. I was with the 2 men who love me. They were with the woman who loves them most. I didn't mean to cheat on them with Carlos. When I asked him out, I didn't think he would say yes. The first date went okay, somehow okay enough for a second. A second grew into a third, into a fourth, and after the 24th date, I had a sculpture ready.
And pray tell, how did Carlos fit into your trophy case of husbands?
Carlos was different. He still had the beard, the dog brown eyes, but he was an educated man. Alumnus of Howard University, and he could cook. Baking was his artistry. We met at a cake baking class he held. A week later, I felt his arms around me with fingers between mine and the dough we were kneading. He whispered the recipe into my ear. He had the best of Matthias and Alejandro. Sweet and gentlemanly like Matthias, passionate like Alejandro. We could talk about art. He was fascinated with my quirky artistic inspirations. I couldn't stop listening to him explain Picasso. Maybe it's because they both experienced poverty at some point that drew him to Picasso. Maybe it's because of the poverty he experienced that made him donate so much to charity. I mean, it was sometimes hard getting a date out of him because he spent so much time at the water something charity. Sometimes go out drinking with friends afterwards instead of taking me somewhere. Sometimes I wouldn't see him for weeks. I missed him.
What sin did he make himself guilty of to join Matias and Alejandro?
Carlos, I showed him my painting. I wanted him to hang it up in his home to think of me. Carlos liked art. He liked talking about my art, but he wouldn't have any of my art in his house. He said my modern rendition of the punishment of Marsyas was barbaric in its techniques and motive. He said I was insane for painting it. Using him as the satyr was not befitting of him. He stopped talking to me after that. Blocked me on everything he could. He...
Sculptor, I cannot help but wonder if you are presenting selective information.
On me or my partners?
That is what I do not yet know.
Anyway, Carlos came over to my place to collect the last of his things. It was a hot July. He would be thirsty. He really liked iced tea. I mixed the anesthetic into his drink while he moved out his items. I was frightened for a moment as he walked to his car, nimble and polite. The last few steps made me smile. A limp leg collapsing, confused head wobbling like a newborn. His hand grasping for the eyelids, gazing at Medusa. Eyelids turning to stone. He fell down on his face, onto the pavement. I had the dosage wrong with Alejandro, too. Just like Alejandro, he emerged from his ever-distant unconsciousness to my angelic gown flowing from neck to ankles. His hands, veined like David by Michelangelo, clasped my neck and crushed towards the other. My throat and its windpipe collateral for love in another abusive man's hands. The scalpel painted blood from his stomach to chest to neck. The angelic dress stained in love blood while his last breath announced death of flesh form. Thud next to me, my eyes too polluted with blood. He didn't have his areola anymore. His soul doesn't have his areola. His is the only of my creations I call imperfect. A cake burnt in the oven. Sitting in the middle of the three of them, letting them hear my breathing was not. I had always had the feeling my communion with the soul statues was holy, as if I had transcended their deaths in a religious way. But now, I had to try again. Alvaro was to purify the fault of Carlos. A beautiful man. He had the facial hair that let you know I have a badge. On our third date, he confessed to me he was investigating a case.
He was investigating you.
Alvaro was closer than I'd like. They did not know Matthias, Alejandro, and Carlos were connected for sure, only suspected it. He joked, saying he looked similar to them. Maybe he'd be next. I had to finish his sculpture. I spent many nights in the dry blood of my sculpting dress, unveiling his body from marble. His broad cop shoulders, deep set, serious eyes and smile. Gentle like a puppy. It was close to our 3-month anniversary when they said they were going to catch her soon. I still needed to move Matthias to storage when the SWAT team surrounded the studio. It was Alvaro's voice in the megaphone calling me to exit peacefully. It was his voice mocking me. We know you are in there, lying to me, abusing me. Banging on the door, they were coming in. Splinters shot from the door meeting boot. 3 men and my Alvaro stormed in. I hid in the false closet. Their thuds were coming closer to my shrine of love. I could hear they were scared, but I know they admired the creation, the artistry. I was Michelangelo, and my Matthias soul statue is my Sistine Chapel. The lights attached to their weapons hunted for me in the room. I saw a beam blast into my hiding spot. Heard guns abusing my supplies on the false wall opposite me. Crash, left, right, left. Its owner littering the air with clear. My Alvaro ordered them to stalk the building for me. He remained in his unpossessable, fleshy form. His gasp meant he had found his hidden future marble home. I stepped out. His eyes, his whole posture fixated forward toward the statue of him. Alvaro? I said. He jumped with his gun, raised, at me. I was next door, painting when I heard all this. I lied. His fingers shook toward my dry blood dress. Paint. I told you I'm an artist. his puppy browns. No belief. He told me to lay on the ground. I did. He came closer with his cuffs. I bit his nose off. He tried to shoot me with his gun. I ate his Adam's apple. Jeffrey Dahmer proclaimed the ingestion of victims equate to ownership. I never understood this truth before I swallowed the pieces of flesh and cartilage from Alvaro. It could not substitute the combination of body and soul my statues offer, but it was a suitable alternative. I waited at the door for his squad mates to return. One did. He tasted better than Alvaro. Alvaro had a very strong iron taste. This one had a flavor more salty. I was savoring him when the last two arrived. Guns gazing at me, lights blinding me, followed by cold metal cuffs on my wrists. Blurs, sounds vaguely like people screaming, holding cells. Jail.
Curious. Your memory failed you that night, but not the previous.
It was just me in the cell. No Alejandro to tell about my art. No Carlos to discuss home makeovers. No Matthias to hear me complain. Just me. Nights shivering and days sweating. Nothing to do. Just me in my own mind. Dark thoughts crept in until I met Manuel, my public defender. His hands were David's of Michelangelo, his beard Roman curly, his hair in the image of Caesar. I would caress over the big vein in his right hand when he placed his index finger on a word in the file. His eyes would dart to mine, his deep brown eyes, then to my hand. He would pull his hand away. I never had a man stand up for me before, but how he did it in court. I had already chiseled him free from marble in my mind. Every time we were alone, he was professional, and I was flirty. He asked me to stop. I don't take no for an answer. The fucker quit as my defender. Why do I always choose men who are bad for me? Men like my father. Again, I was alone. No one visited me in jail. No one wrote to me. My new public defender was a woman. I never really liked other women, and I had one love of my life out there, separated from his unsculpted soul statue. I had to escape. The guards were only human, with very biteable Adam's apples. Everyone already wondered if I wasn't psycho, banging my head on the steel bars, talking to my soul sculptures as if they were in the cell, biting my cheek until it bled. It tipped them into believing it. The psychiatric observation unit was the same from my last visit. Same lax security, same guard patrols, same inmate having an affair with one of the guards. I befriended her, never really wanted to learn her name. Convinced her to entertain her guard lover just long enough for me to steal his set of keys to the nurse's clothing closet. A costume and the credentials from a nurse laying headless in the closet is all it took to escape.
This occurred, I believe, an hour ago.
Yes.
The thumping in the background was you playing with the car keys from your stolen getaway Toyota. License plate TC5064. Not true?
How did you know?
You are still wearing the uniform. Nurse's blood on your mouth and neck. In Manuel's living room. But he is not there. Is he, Sculptor?
Tell me now, Crowley.
Goodbye, Miss Sculptor. I apologize for tonight's disruption, dear listeners. The police captain in D.C. is an old acquaintance. It came to my attention her ramblings might lead to her location, mentioning Manuel by name. Novice mistake. Rest assured, my listeners, you need not worry of the Sculptor. Not anymore. My deepest thanks for spending your time with us. It would be greatly appreciated if you could spread the news of our little podcast. Word of mouth is good. Instagram as well. Seances are highly encouraged. Until next time, search the dark corners of your life. Who knows what might be lurking out of sight?